But first, to the showdown between electricity contractors and networks over the costs associated with curbside electric vehicle charges. Now, they're expected to boost profits to the tune of around $10 billion, which will be a cost to consumers whether you own an EV or not. Here to discuss this and more, senior motoring journalist Paul Gover. Well, I know this is a bit complicated, but you're the expert and I want everyone to understand what is going on because these costs are enormous. What's happening here, Paul?
Well, there's a proposal to allow networks to build infrastructure for car charging, which sounds like a great idea, except that everybody who's tried to do this as a private company has pretty much not made a profit. So you've got to be asking yourself, why does somebody want to spend all this money on infrastructure that we don't need and that is focused in a very narrow area? It's obviously a profit grab by somebody. And at the end of the day, the people who are going to have to pay for this are not the people who drive electric cars. It's the people who don't drive electric cars who are going to be paying for infrastructure they don't want, and a lot of people would say they don't need.
And of course, if they charge their car, if they have an EV, at home on their own power network attached to their household, well, they'll be paying at home, but they'll also be paying in an overall grid sense for power on the street that they may never use.
Yeah, that's correct. Well, they're talking about 22,000 of these charge points. Now, apart from the fact that there's a huge cost to roll them out, plus the fact that they'll have to upgrade power stations and substations to provide the power, if you look at the sales rate of electric cars in Australia at the moment, it's less than 10% of the annual sales. So that's about 120,000 cars. And that's nationally. This is one state we're talking about. I have no idea why somebody want to do this unless the bean counters in the background have found a way to make a nice, tidy profit out of charging everybody for the same sort of thing as the wires and poles part of your electricity bill.
And there's also something else in relation to EVs that I think we've got to talk to often enough so people understand it. I was not long ago on the Western Highway, which is the Ballarat Road, Melbourne to Adelaide. And I tell you what, you could not take your eyes off the road the entire time. I was dodging potholes. I mean, it was quite a stressful drive. And all the way down the highway, there were a couple of cars pulled over at various points that had completely blown out to their rims. And I saw going there and coming back, trucks ready to take cars away that they couldn't even be repaired on the roadside. So our roads are crook right across the country. But if you've got an EV, you're not paying anything to help fix them, are you? But if you drive a petrol car or diesel car, you're being stung to repair our roads.
You're absolutely right. The other thing, Peter, is these EVs are actually doing more damage. An EV, compared with a combustion car, is 300 to 400 kilos heavier. So they weigh as much as a small truck, some of these things, and there are quite a lot of them that are up in the 2.4, 2.5 tonne range. So not only are they not paying, they're also, by definition, because of their weight, they're doing more damage to the roads.
Now, there were some stats out the other day that said Australia's car dealerships, about 4,000 of them, are going to be $2 billion worse off over the next 5 years because of these fuel efficiency standards from Chris Bowen. And we all know who'll end up paying for that. It'll be passed on to us when we buy a new car. Is there any chance the government's going to wake up and rescind these rules or change them in a way that takes cost of living into the equation? Because I understand they're supposed to kick in on the 1st of July.
Yeah, the measurement starts on the 1st of July. The penalties are further down the track. But the whole problem with this is what they're trying to do is socially engineer us into cars that they think are better for the economy and better for the environment. But the fact of the matter is people in Australia are buying pickup trucks and SUVs, and those will not, a lot of them won't get under the threshold point for these new emissions targets, and there are a vast number of them. What that means is somebody's going to have to pay a penalty to the federal government at some point. And businesses, car companies and also dealers and even people who are buying cars are going to have to make decisions about how much they're prepared to put up with. The problem with this is the federal government's just been re-elected, so Mr Bowen is going to proceed on his merry way thinking that he's got a mandate for this. What potentially is going to happen is there are going to be thousands of dollar price increases on these vehicles, and because they're trying to skew what people buy. And the motor industry, I've been doing this for more than 40 years. The one thing you learn is you have to learn to listen to the consumers. And no matter what you provide or how tasty it is, consumers will make their final decision. And at the moment, the consumers of automobiles in this country are not voting towards the policies of the government with this sort of pollution tax. And once the reality starts to bite for dealers and car buyers, there's going to be a huge shock around the motor industry in the second half of this year.
You must be listening to my bitch and moan over the weekend, Paul, because my car is about 6 years old, due to be turned over to a new version of it. And I go into the dealership. I've currently got a beautiful 3-litre, 6-cylinder diesel, and they're telling me I can either have an EV or a crappy 4-cylinder, 2-litre of the same make. And I say, no, thank you. I'll stay exactly where I am, because they are caught out by this cap, and I've got no option but... And I drive country miles. I want a decent car. There you go. I am walking with my feet, as Paul says we will.